Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today, we're going to be discussing the death of the Potters, Azkaban Prison, and the imprisonment of mass murderer Sirius Black. Now, the Sirius Black that we know and love from the books and films, Harry's godfather, was a good wizard through and through. He may have come from the Black family, a wizarding family linked to many witches and wizards of dubious, if not outright poor morality, but Sirius was no bad egg, which is why his imprisonment in Azkaban for the murder of 12 muggles was always a questionable decision in the minds of Harry Potter fans. We know in reality that it was Pettigrew who, using a dark and powerful blasting curse, killed those 12 muggles, but someway, somehow, Sirius Black was blamed. After being banished to Azkaban, seemingly the whole world turned on Sirius, even the ghost portrait of the Fat Lady, and he was left there to rot for an astonishing 12 years. He was eventually able to escape the island fortress by turning into his animagus form, a black dog, and squeezing through the bars. Today I want to answer the question, why didn't Sirius Black get a trial? Karkaroff, Bellatrix, and Snape all had trials. Not only was Sirius treated as a ruthless Death Eater, he was treated as one of Voldemort's innermost and dangerous right hands, which prompted Crouch to push through legislation which effectively had Sirius locked away without a trial. This is ridiculous on many levels, especially if we consider the fact that Sirius didn't even have a dark mark. Essentially, Sirius's imprisonment, sans trial, largely boils down to two things. One, Sirius never acted like an innocent man. Upon being first discovered, Sirius was hysterically laughing. We now know that this was due to his inability to process the grief he was overcome by, but outwardly it gave ministry officials and others the impression that he was just insane and happy with what he had just done. A crater in the middle of the street, so deep it had cracked the sewer below, bodies everywhere, muggles screaming, and Black standing there laughing, with what was left of Pettigrew in front of him. Sirius also never defends his innocence, and once again this is likely due to the fact that he was still processing the atrocities that had occurred right in front of him. His best friends had just been murdered, and he was being blamed, so he clearly had a lot to process. 2. Dumbledore didn't believe he was innocent, at least not at first. I mentioned earlier that other Death Eaters had been tried, and these included people like Bellatrix, Karkaroff, and Snape. Bellatrix and Karkaroff were charged accordingly, as they had no one to vouch for them, but Snape's name was cleared because he was vouched for by Albus Dumbledore. Snape has been cleared by this council, said Crouch disdainfully. He has been vouched for by Albus Dumbledore. A lot of people say, if Dumbledore could have Snape acquitted, why couldn't he do the same for Sirius? And the answer to this is that Dumbledore simply didn't believe in Sirius's innocence. The following line supports this. There is not a shred of proof to support Black's story, except your word, and the word of two 13-year-old wizards will not convince anybody. A street full of eyewitnesses swore they saw Sirius murder Pettigrew. I myself gave evidence to the ministry that Sirius had been the Potter's secret keeper. All those years later, Dumbledore was still under the impression that Sirius Black had been secret keeper for the Potters. And if this is the case, it makes total sense that he would believe that Sirius was guilty up until this point. That would have meant that he would have been the one to reveal the Potter's location, which makes it highly likely that he was also capable of murder. Later, Dumbledore changes his mind, but that's not until he was given irrefutable evidence. And that's it for this video. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.